My name's Chris Groves. I'm recently back from leading a Dhaulagiri circuit trek. It's unlike a lot of Nepal trips that people may be aware of, like Annapurna, Everest Base Camp, and there is very little infrastructure after the first couple of days. It's like Nepal, I think, would have been maybe 30 or 40 years ago. Very rarely see other groups. You're right in the wilderness of the mountains, and for that I think it's one of the best treks I've done. Walking through rice fields of millet, the odd banana plant, but still quite a rural area. You can see that it hasn't changed an awful lot in an awful long time. Locals are very interested to see what you're doing, and they'll be a little bit shy, maybe hide behind windows and peek out, especially the children. So as the path climbs up, getting higher into the mountains, the terrain changes. It's a narrow path to walk on. The Dhaulagiri circuit is a different trek just in terms of its remoteness. By the third lunchtime, your phones stop working. There isn't a permanent settlement up there, so it does feel remote. There's not a lot of trade. There's no people walking up and down the valley as you might expect in some of the busier valleys in Nepal. Throughout the recent trip, I've had amazing team spirit, team morale. People looked after each other. We spent a lot of time, certainly in the first couple of evenings, just playing silly games or cards or anything just to get to know each other a little bit more. People weren't disappearing off to their tent to watch films on phones or iPads, and that stayed all the way through. So the encouragement after a hard day's walk or a hard section of walk was evident. I think that helped everybody get through. Depending on the day, your bags leave camp while you're having breakfast, so the porters get a bit of a head start. You might not see your bags again until after you've got into camp and had tea and biscuits, which often appears very quickly after being in camp. So somehow the kitchen staff leave after you, they arrive in lunch before you, get lunch prepped, and they still arrive in camp before we arrive in camp. Once we've left the fields and the higher jungle section, we're up in the high mountains, roughly 4,000 metres. So the sun will be shining, fingers crossed. The sun is very strong, so sun cream, sun hat, good quality sunglasses, glacier glasses. The cook team was a cook, an amazing guy called Citra. Some of the best food I've had in Nepal. I don't know how he managed it, but the food turned out amazing meals every time. So I think the Dhaulagiri circuit is a trek that thinks it's an expedition, or it certainly feels like it at certain times. The remoteness and the mountain scenery is spectacular. Hard camping trek with some long days, also some short days. So we have a big day out of Dhaulagiri Base Camp over to our camp in Hidden Valley, and then the group has the potential to split. There is an option to climb Dhamphus Peak. Dhamphus Peak is a relatively straightforward peak, which is quite a big day out in itself. Whichever way you go, even if you don't go over the peak, you still have to go over Dhamphus Pass. A couple of hours climbing out of Hidden Valley. At Dhamphus Pass, People can head off left up towards Dhamphus Peak. This can be quite rocking, quite loose in places. This year was steep, hard going and very soft snow. We'd had 3 days camping on hard snow, so previously we discussed with the team and with the Sirdar team was very keen to get off the snow. Up onto the Fredge Col, with a few fair flags and the odd cairn. Going down into the Hidden Valley is a long, steady descent. You don't lose much height at all, and it's really remote, really windswept. Again, completely featureless. If the weather comes in, it is quite a challenging place to be. On a nice sunny day, you can see the trail in front of you, or the people walking down in front of you. With the mess tent down, very clear skies, the mess tent was set on a ridge just seconds of walk from our camp, but amazing views towards the Annapurna range and potentially Manaslu in the distance. Everybody really tired after 3 long challenging days in the cold and high mountains. No rush to leave, we only had half a day's walk to complete our trek down into the village of Marfa. For me, the remoteness appeals, and the undeveloped nature of the valley is also really appealing. Having had the hustle and bustle of the Khumbu Valley, I think it's like potentially a step back in time. Maybe a bit more how Nepal used to be before the phone masts went up, before Wi-Fi went everywhere. If you want to get away from it all, on a trek that thinks it's an expedition, and I highly recommend Dhaulagiri circuit. I've done it twice. I'd love to do it again.